Hey, how's it going? We're going to try to make creamy chicken noodle soup today. This is one of the boys' favorites, especially when it's cold. They always want to make soup. And we found this recipe and we kind of tweaked it a little bit here and there. So we're going to get started. And the first thing we're going to do is boil about 4 thighs, I guess, and maybe 2 chicken breasts with a bay leaf in there, and I guess we're going to add some more seasoning later. So we're going to do that first until it's done, and then we're going to take the chicken out, let it cool. The vegetables we're fixing to saute, we're going to have about 4 sticks of celery, about 4 or so of carrots, and a full onion diced up real good and small. And we're going to get that on here in a minute, and I'll show you that when I get everything ready. Going to chop up this parsley real quick. I don't add it till after the carrots and the onions and the celery is kind of getting close to being soft. I'm fixing to put them on right now. About 1 batch or 1 clump, I guess, of parsley is what I use, because I actually make more. I guess if you want to make a little less, you wouldn't have to use as much, but we like to make extra so we can have leftovers. So anyway, I'm fixing to use olive oil to get this skillet hot, and probably about, I don't know, 3 or 4 teaspoons of olive oil, and then I'm gonna put the carrots and celery and the onions. And I'll put, I usually put a lid on it, kind of trap the heat, make it softer quicker. And I'll just stir it up to get a little bit of oil on everything so it doesn't scorch or whatever. And usually about halfway through this, I usually put some minced garlic in here too, to cook with these vegetables. So it usually takes probably about 10 or 15 minutes to get these kind of soft. And then we'll put it in the soup here in a minute. I'm fixing to, after I boiled the chicken, I got the broth left. I'm going to take the chicken out and get it over there cooling so I can debone it and cut it up. And while it's doing that, I'm going to boil my medium egg noodles in the chicken broth until they get about 3/4 of the way done. Then I'm going to take them out and add, I don't know, I may leave them in there this time. I'm going to take them, and when they get about 3/4 of done, then I'm going to add the vegetables, because by then they're going to be cooked. And then we're going to add the chicken, and then we got to make the roux for the sauce. I'm going to turn this back on. We just took the chicken out and let them start getting soft, about halfway soft.
Nolan, do you use that whole package?
Pretty much. Maybe 3/4 of it. Depends. That's probably at least 5 or 6 cups or more of water that we use to cover the chicken. So that should be about right. I mean, pretty much all of it. I guess we could go ahead and add it. There's not much left, but I'm going to put a lid on this. Start letting it cook down. In about 5 minutes, I'm going to put the minced garlic in there and the parsley. Alright, I'm fixing to, they've been cooking for about 8 minutes, 8 or 9 minutes, something like that. It's starting to get a little bit soft, it's starting to smell pretty good. So for the last, I'll wait till, I'm going to cook it probably another 10 minutes or so to get it good and soft. We'll go ahead and add the parsley. I don't put it in until later. Otherwise, if it overcooks, it don't take long to do this. That, and I usually add about a spoon to a little bit more of minced garlic, fresh garlic.
Show us the front of that garlic there. We get it in the produce section at Walmart.
And then just going to go ahead and stir that back around and then put the lid back on it, let it continue getting everything good and soft. Really starting to smell pretty good. Alright, I'm just deboning this chicken. I'm just going to cut it up in smaller chunks, and then I got one chicken breast I'm going to cut up and put in there in a minute too. The carrots and all the celery and onions and stuff just about done. I've turned the noodles off. The water has actually sucked up some in the noodles. We may add just a little bit more water just to have plenty of juice in the soup, but we'll see how it is after we get all the ingredients put in there.
It already smells so good. And we got cornbread going. Boys don't think they can have soup without cornbread. But it looks a little bit dry right now, but once you get that roux,
the water level's at least to right here.
Yeah.
So.
But once you get the cream sauce in there,
and then you add, it'll be 2.5 cups of milk, and then we add a cup of heavy whipping cream to make it really creamy.
And it's good.
All right, I'm gonna clean this pan up, and then we're fixing to make the roux real quick. Also, I forgot. I'm gonna add about a teaspoon to 2 teaspoons of red ground pepper in here, and add some black pepper, about the same amount. And about a teaspoon to 2 teaspoons of salt, depending on how. You don't have to add the salt, I don't guess, if you don't want to, but we add, come on, just a little bit of that in there, like that. All right, I'm fixing to make the roux real quick with this one. I got this turned off right now. It's still plenty hot. I'm fixing to start making the roux and do 5 tablespoons of butter. And we're going to do, after this gets melted, a fourth, just a little hair more than a fourth a cup of flour. And if it's not thick and lumpy like I want, I'll add a little more. Just kind of have to tweak it, I guess. If you make, if you know, I'm making quite a bit. Like I said, you can always downsize this. But as soon as this butter gets good and hot melted, then I'm going to add that. Probably a fourth and like 2 or 3 teaspoons or tablespoons, I'm sorry, more of flour. And if that ain't enough, I'll add some more till we get it good and thick and lumpy. And then we're going to add 2 cups to 2.5 cups of milk, and we're going to add 1 cup of heavy whipping cream. And after it gets good and hot and thick, that's when we're gonna pour it in back into the soup, get it all worked in there good, and then bring it back to a boil again. All right, I'm fixing to add this flour. Let's do it a little at a time, and cook it until it kind of gets lumpy and thick. That was a fourth a cup. I'm gonna have to add more because I've made a little more today than I normally do, but it's starting to get thick there. Probably need about another fourth a cup. Looks like that's gonna be about right, maybe. Yeah. I'm gonna cook this for, it's pretty much the consistency that I want. It's not super thick like gravy, but it's thicker. And I'm gonna dump it in here on top of this soup. All the other ingredients. And then I am going to add 1 cup of heavy whipping cream.
We came across this soup a couple of years ago. Man, if it gets cold, we think we have to have it.
So now just work it all back in there good till all that seasoning and all the other juices are, so it's all the way through. And then you can, it's really hot already, but I always heat it up again, get it real hot, and then should be good. Should be ready to go. Well, it's done. I'm gonna make a little bowl here for myself. Cook gets to eat first. And it looked a little less, or it had a little less, I guess, extra liquid that I wanted, so I added about another half a cup of milk. You can just kind of make it however you want it, but that's what it ends up looking like right there. And the roux makes it a little thicker, but it's not like gravy, but it's just thicker than water, I guess you'd say. We did right.
One thing we forgot to tell you. Sometimes we sprinkle some of this on top just of our bowl. We love this stuff. We put it on everything. It just kind of gives it another extra zest. It's kind of like a salt. It's not spicy. It's good though.